Time for ukulele class. Doing This Land is Your Land. Little Woody Guthrie today. I'm going to go post our link on the page. Need to log in first, apparently. Um, we do ukulele here every single day, Monday through Friday, right? Every day, 1 o'clock my time. We do it from 11 o'clock harmonica, 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock harmonica, 12 o'clock intro to ukulele for books 1 and 2, crazy hard ukulele at this time slot. Today's song's not crazy hard. Baritone ukulele and then guitar. So it's awesome here. I have had a rather challenging day today, so I'm very excited to finally get to sit down and play some music. Let's go post the link right here. Space Control V. Scroll back up. For some reason, it always scrolls down. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. Not very helpful. Come on, WordPress, get your act together. Never think about the fact that we are living with the relatively capable or relatively incapable hands of computer programmers. That's what we are doing these days. Some are more focused on success than others. All right, so this should open up into the lesson. It does, and we're ready to roll. Sandy, sound is good. Missed you earlier. Hope things went well. Yeah, I suppose I could have anticipated today going poorly, but the reason it went poorly was not because of the reasons that I would typically anticipate it going poorly. We have a board meeting today, the condominium board meeting, and usually the day of is pretty quiet because we've all been all week long getting all of our business together. And but today, somebody got caught in the elevator right off the bat. And of course, the reason they got caught in the elevator was we thought the elevator wasn't working properly. So now I got to meet call the elevator guy and get all that in there, all this stuff. We only have one elevator. And so when it goes out, we are uh, highly insistent on it getting fixed right away. And I'm out of water. I'm gonna have to survive for the next few minutes without being underwatered. Anyway, I had to go deal with the elevator outage, and then it turned into well, let's talk about everything else while we're here, and blah blah blah. So anyway, I missed 2 classes today. I missed harmonica and intro to ukulele. So uh, I know. Hey, bye, Valerie. Um, I finally made it. I know. I know. Think of it as a little bit of Gary relief that you incurred today, which is as everybody who hangs around with me eventually is like, I'm exhausted from him. Hey, Barbara Jack, good to see you guys. Um, I have a bad habit of calling Barbara's Barb, and I know better because my mom was a Barbara, and she was not keen on Barb. She actually went by her middle name, Jean. That's how much she didn't like Barb. So yeah, so I'm working on calling all Barbaras Barbara. Hey, Linda, thanks for yeah, I made it. It was a little crazy today. Manette is in. Rita's in. Got the whole Illinois crew in right off the bat. What's going on at 2 o'clock in Illinois where where you guys are first in? No, we got Sandy from Michigan, Jack from Illinois, Linda from British Columbia. I guess that's not really Illinois, is it? Manette's in Illinois. Rita's in Illinois. Amy's Amy's local. All right. Hi, Amy. uh, Yeah, tonight you should see the agenda for tonight. There's really not that much to discuss in public session, and then the executive session is like, oh my God, all these decisions we have to make. I'm lucky here at this kind of we have a really solid board, really smart people, and they do a lot to support me. So I feel very lucky. But it is you are correct. It's getting all the cats to move into the same direction. That's can be a bit challenging. So, but the heck, what the heck? If everything was easy, it wouldn't be worth doing. That's how we feel about ukulele, right? Today's piece is pretty easy. Hope you guys are like, oh, phew. hopefully this whole week you're like, oh, thank goodness, we needed a little bit of a break. Amy is in. Welcome, Amy. Lynn. Lynn is in from New Jersey. Terry's in from local. Elizabeth is right now under a coat of ash. The fire that is west of Fort Collins got loose on them last night, and it's now the biggest fire in Colorado history. It's absolutely horrendous up there. And I saw on Twitter, Elizabeth, they had your air quality meter, and it was way over here, and that's not good. That's not good. So hope you're doing okay. Marianne is here. She's also from Michigan. Diane is here. Welcome, Diane. Diane's one of my local people. Mine, I own Diane. Carol's sort of local. She lives up in Nathrop, which is up on the mountains there. Not as local as Terry. I can see Terry from here. Let's see. Gary and Diane are in from Southwest Washington, ready to rock. Today we are working on we're working on the arrangement of This Land Is Your Land. Get a little bit of Americana mixed in with our folk music week. Woody Guthrie in folk music circles is a towering giant. Like, he was really very well respected and very well thought of, and it's fascinating because when I go through his music, I'm like, it's okay. So yeah, it's interesting. And then, of course, his son Arlo is the one most of everybody knows as a folk music singer, not the composer and artist and activist that his father was, but certainly a very fine musician. Woody Guthrie, I think, had 8 or something, and I always wonder when people have that many kids how they keep up, because I couldn't even begin to imagine what that's like. Christine missed my harmonica class today. I didn't make it in this afternoon. Annie's here. Patty's in. Yeah, hi everybody. So yeah, I apologize. I missed 2 classes today, which is not like me, I don't think. I had some condo stuff that just showed up all of a sudden. The elevator had an issue, and we only have one elevator. So when the elevator goes, it didn't really go down. It didn't do what it was supposed to do. And everybody in the building gets verklempt really quickly. And so I have to step in and I have to make sure that people aren't making weird decisions, and I'm making sure that it's working and all that stuff. So, and in the middle of all this is how things work. I woke up, I'm like, all right, I'm going to have a good day. Got a board meeting tonight, but I got all my paperwork done. So all I got to do is send out one email, and then I'll be fine. So I got up this morning, and I already had your sheet music posted. So I sent that one email. And as I press send, somebody knocks on my door, and I'm like, oh God, what did I forget? And it's the elevator's gone down. So like run around like an idiot trying to get that back up and running. And then in the midst of all this, some poor guy had some sort of issue in his car right out in front of us. I live on 8th Street, it's the main drag through Denver, and it's lit right over here. And then Washington Street runs this way over here. And it's also not a main drag, but it's a busy street. And so it is not abnormal for us to have car crashes and things like that out front. People are on their phones, they're not paying attention. And so it's not uncommon for this intersection and the intersection right over here to have car crashes. Well, so I'm going down to deal with the elevator situation, and there's all these fire trucks out there, and I'm like, oh God, I hope they didn't run over any of our bushes. And somebody's having a medical emergency right out there in front. So that took some time, and then since I was down there, I'm like, well, I'm just going to post a note that I'm not going to make it to either class today. And so now I'm here. I'm delighted. I have a ukulele in my hand. Things are going to get better. That's how things work. Thank you all, for those of you guys who are multiple class attenders. Thank you for being patient with me, and I apologize for missing earlier today. Had no intention that was how I was all proud of myself. I'm like, oh, I got This Land Is Your Land. It's only 8 measures. Sweet. I'm going to kick that sucker out. Had that out last night, and I'm like, I can just cruise into my day. And of course, that didn't work. So, t-shirt, not shaven. What are you gonna do? You're not here for me anyway. It's great to see. Thanks, Evelyn. Our version is from to from Bonavista to Vancouver Island. Yeah, see, Linda, I don't rub it in. We know you live in British Columbia. Whatever, good for you. If you have never been to British Columbia, I'll tell you the two things that I love, I adore. There's a little island called Victoria, I think is what it's called. Well, there's three things. Victoria has this amazing botanic garden on like stupid good. It's crazy, and you could go spend weeks there just looking around. Amazing. And then we went to a little town or a little island called Orcas Island, and as far as I could tell, it was the place you should just move and then die there. That's what it should be. That they should just call it that. The place you should want to be when you're dead, and it was beautiful. And and then the other thing we did, oh, we went to Friday Harbor. I wrote a song about Friday Harbor. And it was just wonderful. And then what else did we do up there? Oh, we sat, I remember sitting in the Marriott watching the oil tankers and stuff roll into that harbor there. Unbelievable. Super cool area. Bouchard Gardens, that's the name of the place. Yeah. So crazy, beautiful up there. Salt Spring Island. Oh, okay. All right. See, we could just have Linda talk to us about British Vancouver. Maybe you should start your own video thing, and I'll log into that. You could just take us around to places, Linda, so, and show us British Columbia things. Yeah, thanks, Red. Yeah, a few meetings. Anyway, whatever. We're moving on. We're going to get through today's class. Today we're studying Woody Guthrie. Woody Guthrie is a huge titan in the folk music business, and a lot of his music and people don't study anymore because it was very specific to the times and place that he was living in, and which is unfortunate. But this land is your land, is his crowning achievement. And when you read through it, you're like, it's all right. His first draft was a lot more political than his final draft. He was absolutely somebody who understood that he was trying to make money from this activity, and so he was not immune at all to the vagaries of needing to produce commercial music as well as music that mattered. And I think a lot of musicians run into that. So all of you guys probably know the tune. It's very often studied in elementary school curriculums, and I think there's a movie. Woody Allen wrote an autobiography, and some of you guys will probably remember there was a movie from it, and I'm not going to remember. I read it when I was a kid, uh, and about him going to California and then ultimately to New York and growing up in this Dust Bowl and all this stuff. So he's fascinating character, important literary person, bound for glory. That's it. I'm always like, just wait a minute, and somebody will kick in the answer. I'm 56 now, and as those of you guys who are 56 and beyond know, nothing stays, right? Not even important stuff. You're like, oh, that's used to be right there. It's not there anymore. Hey, Clay. Hey, Linda. Welcome in. All right. This land is your land. C chord. This land is your land. This land is G chord. My land. And those of you that are newer, be thinking about how you get from C to G. You're hanging out on C, that index finger plants, this finger plants, and that jumps up, right? So when I first teach newer players, it's like, that shouldn't take that long, but it really does in the beginning, because often we're pull this off, take everybody off and start putting on your new stuff, and try not to be that person. And one of the ways to increase your fluency, to make your music sound better, to get your overall sound quality up, is to be moving in fluid manners and really know how you get from spot to spot. So you see G chord, this land is my land, from California. And again, this is not an accident. These two are right next to each other, right? So G and D7, from California to the New York. Drop it back, add your ring finger, island. By the way, isn't it weird he starts on the fourth? Those of you who know your music theory, this song starts on the fourth chord. Why? Nobody knows. Okay. From the redwood, and then obviously to see is always easy. The forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land is made for you and me. Okay, that's it. Music theory wise, we talk about it a little bit, and hopefully a little bit on most broadcasts. when you are trying to figure out what key a song is in, you look at the first chord. In this case, it's a C, and then you look at the last chord. In this case, it's a G, and your mind shuts down because you're like, no, it's supposed to be the first chord is the same as the last chord, and it's all. And this song doesn't play by the rules. Um, and what's really happening here is he's using the pickup, which is in C. uh, the this land is your this land. Whoops, this land is your land. So he's sort of using the pickup in the right key, but it's sort of not. And so when you see a song like this and your head shuts down because he's not following the rules, then you got to go to the next level. And you could do, and all the smarty pants in the audience are like, oh, just look at the key signature. Yeah, sure, slide right on up there. You got one sharp. Okay, problem is one sharp. That means all the F's are sharp. And everyone went, well, so we're in G major, which we are. But you can also be in, waits for dramatic pause. Um, Barbara, I just saw Barbara's note. She says, we can skip some of the verses today. She was not at all down with skipping some of the verses yesterday. Well, we're going to do all 5 of them, Barbara. You're making me laugh. Smarty Pants in the audience says it's in G, but it could be in E minor. Okay, now when you look at your circle of fifths, and in those little pieces of pie, there are 2 main chords. There's the major chord and the minor chord in those pieces of pie on your circle of fifths. So this song theoretically could be an E minor. So that in and of itself doesn't tell you everything you need to know, nor does the first chord and the last chord. But often you can go to look to the chord right before the last chord, and this is in why I brought this up. That G7, 7th chords don't show up on accident. 7th chords really help you determine what key you're working in. And so when you see a G7 following right before the next chord, you're probably working in C. Now, this song, of course, does not participate properly. It's technically in G, but it's sort of in C, and so it's what's kind of fun to study about it. But when you see this land was made for you and me, and then you go to the G7, as I was walking, and then you think you're in C again. So it's a very fascinating musical theory arrangement where everything on it is pointing to C, but it's actually in G, and so. I don't know why I find that fascinating, but it's one of these trick songs. You teach this song to little kids so they can sing "This Land is Made for You and Me," but then you start studying the chord structure, and it's actually a little more sophisticated than you would typically expect from a simple folk song with only 8 measures in it. To make your day in agitation worse, I'm playing this on a borrowed banjolele. right. Here's how you make this really bad. Borrow a tenor banjolele, right, and tune it in Chicago style, and the whole thing will be a mess. Yeah, this is obviously another delightful tune to play on banjolele. The chords are nothing for the most part, especially for you guys, but a great song to teach somebody because you've got the C chord, and in the beginning they really fight. You guys probably did too. The first couple of days playing G chord is a bummer. Nice chance to work on that. And like I say, learning this motion, dun dun dun, is really an essential part of what we do. Going from C to G and getting back. That's going to be doing that all of the rest of your life, right? So the sooner you can get comfy doing that, the better. And then, of course, when you are on G and just jumping up to that D7. Now, a lot of times we'll use the fancy D7, but this song doesn't require that. So in every case, I was able to use the open D7 rather than your fancy D7. Okay, this is the good D7. This is okay. This will get the job done. All right, let's play the melody. Barbara, we're going to play it all 5 times. No, we're not. We're going to play it twice through. Okay, so I was working with a private student earlier today, and I do really want you guys that are at this high level to get your repeats. Okay, so you're going along, measure 1, forward repeat. A forward repeat doesn't mean anything to you at the time when you're working on it. You just know at some point I'm coming back to that. Now I don't always succeed, but I try to give you the write the repeats down up here in the top left corner. No other sheet music will ever do that for you, and so you need to know how to read repeats. Um, and of course, sometimes I goof it up because it's the last thing I do before I post the sheet music, and sometimes I forget. But when you see a forward repeat, that's when the two dots are on the right side. That means at some point you're coming back there. So make sure when you are reading a piece of music, you pay attention to your forward repeats because that's where you're coming back to. Most songs, you go back to number one, but not all songs. And as you guys know, we've done lots of songs where you don't go back to one. Um, and um, and I can't emphasize enough. I'm going to keep on you. Yellow highlighter. It's with your sitting on your music stand, and you put a big old piece of highlighter there so your eyeball tracks properly. I don't think there's any reason to not do that. That should be on every single piece of paper in your music book. A piece of, a little mark, a highlighter mark, right where your all your repeats are, so that causes your brain to kick into to that way you don't come late into repeats because you're searching around for where you're supposed to go to. So you've got this forward repeat, and then you play down blah 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 blah. Now, this is the part that I talk about all the time, and most of the time people's heads are like, I don't know what he's talking about. First repeat, second repeat. In this case, the first repeat is repeats 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you look at a measure 8, there's a bracket above it. It says 1, 2, 3, 4. That means for the first 4 times, you are going to play measure 8. Okay. When you come around the last time, the fifth time, you are not going to play measure 8. And I have this come up all the time, especially with newer players where they will just play right into measure 8 and then they're like, I don't know. And then they just play measures 9 and 10 because they don't know why it sounds funny. Um, Remember, before you ever start a song, before you ever even look at the chords, look at the repeats and make sure you know where you're supposed to be playing. And do not be shy about writing that down. Um, yeah, Lynn came in with her E minor. Um, Try playing it in E minor, see how it goes out. Um, let's see, what's the fourth? The E, A minor. Let's see. This land is your land. This, no, so it'd be the fourth. You'd start in A minor. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York guys. Put it in E minor. See how you do. Could be fun. Um, when you come down to that first repeat, just know what those brackets are. They tell you everything you need to know. You don't need me to write the repeats down. You should know. Okay. First time through, play major 8. Second time, play major 8. Third time, play major 8. Fourth time, seriously, you played this song 4 times in a row, play major 8. Fifth time, don't play major 8 or you will lose everything that you've worked for. So just that's why I always tell people, take your highlighter and also put it at the beginning of measure 8 there, so that every time you see that highlighter, you're like, okay, think. Am I supposed to play this time, or are we beyond that now? And then you skip on. Okay. Reading repeats, I would say, is what we spend probably the most amount of time when we start a new song in our orchestra. We just sit and we go through it. And of course, I got to get that information to 80 people. And inevitably, someone's like, could you say that again? Okay. So I want you to just get where you get a new piece of music, check your repeats, make sure you know where you're supposed to be playing, then go look at the chords. And you guys are at the level now where you no longer have to look at a piece of music and if there's a B flat in it, you say, I'm not going to play that anymore, right? This level of play means you are going to play everything. You no longer have this issue of, oh, I can't play a B flat, or what in the heck is that, right? What's that? Well, that's a B flat. Okay. So you're going to be playing that kind of stuff all the time from now on. Once you're at this level, you're going to be playing all sorts of crazy chords that make your hands hurt. So the chords themselves are no longer a major issue for you. If you're a singer, the only thing you care about is if I have to come put this into a different key, and we're going to do that in just a second. Okay. But first, I want to play the melody. And no matter if you're brand new to ukulele or if you've been playing it forever, playing melody is, I think, the most important part of this. I think it's more important than rhythm. But I'll have a few music teachers in here today who are like become verklempt over that issue. Rhythm probably is the most important thing for most music. Um, well, for all music. There's no music where rhythm isn't important, but playing melody is what we do with this instrument. This is something that has to work on this, or it all gets all mushed around, doesn't sound good. So let's play the melody. One. Remember, indexes are one, twos, and threes. There are. I don't think there are anything else other than ones. There aren't even any ones, right? So it's all twos and threes. One, two. And then we do that four more times for Barbara, and then we wrap it up. When you go into the last ending, of course, the fifth time through, um, you have the same thing. Dong. Okay, so that's it. That's nothing. There's nothing there. Okay, not a complicated song. I will point out you've got 16th notes in here. I put them in here kind of on purpose. This is at 80 beats per minute. Okay, so that's about the fastest we have any hope of playing 16th notes. And if there was more than a few 16th notes in a row, more than two in a row, I probably would have put this into um, quarter notes, right, to turn those ones into eighth notes and then increase the speed up to 140 or 160, something like that. Um, just be mindful when you see all of this music. This is very common in piano to see 16th notes, and very in violin that's usually the slowest note that you have. But for ukulele, we have limits on what we can get done on this instrument. This and so when you see pieces of music with complicated standard notation, you can pretty much bet you're going to be playing it a little bit slower. So in this case, you've got some eighth notes to start and some quarter notes. Now, let's talk about rest because we never get to talk about rest. In measure one, there's a rest right in the middle there. This land is your land, rest. This land is my land, rest. From California, rest to the New York Islands, rest. From the Gulf Stream, from the redwood forest, rest to the Gulf Stream waters. And I just left one note there. This land is made for you and me. Okay, and then there's a rest before you go on. If you're a singer, those rests matter. And in what we've found in harmonica class, those rests are actually kind of helpful. It gives you a chance to either blow all your air that's building up in your chest or suck a little in. Um, so as singers, they really do pay much more attention to the rest. But as a ukulele player, we don't really pay any attention to them. That's why you rarely see them in my music. You're just going to play the note before, and you'll see in the tab. I don't even bother to put the rest in because you don't need to really think about it. Your ukulele is going to be done well in time for that. And if you wanted to create a situation where it was important, you could do that. You could actually put those rests in, but there's not a ton of point in that on when you've got an instrument that doesn't have a ton of sustain. If you're on piano and there's a rest and you're sitting down on your sustain pedal, you darn well better lift up on the sustain pedal to get the music to stop. They've given you a rest for a reason. I don't see them as particularly necessary on when arranging for this instrument because this instrument just doesn't have enough sustain to keep them going. Um, Friends like, oh wait, I'll be right back. I gotta go grab my banjolele. Tomorrow, bring your banjoleles. This will be the song. All right, let's play the tough uke and let's talk about the rest of stuff. I've kind of spent a little time on music theory. 8 chords, 8 bar song. You're gonna be able to play it. Not hard. And so it gives you a chance to study some of the other stuff that we don't talk about enough. Okay, so pickups. Okay, you got 1, 2, rest. Dun 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 dun. So your pickup, I do pickups a little bit different than you see in a lot of music. I use that full measure, all 4 beats, and put this pickup at the end to give you some count-ins. Those of you who listen to the MP3, you'll hear this click, 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 dong, dong, dong. and it's mostly so you can hit play and have enough time to get your ukulele on your lap to get going. That's why I put those zero measures in. Um, is to set up the click track so that you know about the speed this song's going to be. So when you're listening to the MP3, it's supposed to be helpful. Plus, the sound that I use is a cowbell, and every single time I put in more cowbell, and then I go on. So there's the joy of arranging, is you get to say more cowbell to yourself every single time. Tough uke. Let's walk through it real quick. Measure 1, you're just going to have the C chord. Measure 2, you've got the G chord that's going to show up. Okay. Measure 3, you've got the easy D7 that's going to show up. Measure 4, you're going to go back to that G chord. Measure 5 is a C chord. Measure 6 is a G chord. Measure 7 is a D7, and that's it. Okay, you got a partial strum at the entry into 8. That's it. There's nothing there. Okay, so let's give it a try. 1, 2. Second ending. You know, I didn't want we don't want to torture Barbara too much, so I went into the second ending rather than doing the first ending 4 times. Okay, at the end, and then remember, measure 10, zip, 7th fret, pinky on 10. Okay. Why this? Why this? Why this? Why? Why? He waits patiently. Why this? Why would we put something that complicated at the end of an instrumental arrangement of This Land Is Your Land? Patience, Gary. Somebody's writing the answer right this minute. Why is the reason for this at the end? This will be one of those times the chat box dies, and I'll be like, "Was it here?" Why do we have that at the end? Because it's prey. The big finish. The Amy's got it, right? It's prey. Big finish. Clay has the right answer. Okay, it's a G chord. Okay, that's a G chord. This is your G chord that you learn on day 1, day 4, I think, with me, right? But this gives you this beautiful. This gives you everything you guys are talking about over here. Okay. Okay. Lots of reasons to put this at the end of a song. You know, when you're go watch, I don't know, they had Grammys or they've had some music award show on last night, and at the end of every song, dun 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 dun, blom blom, right? That's exactly how we end. We always need a big finish at the end of every song. Pretty rare soloists will do it where they'll do just one note, pling, you know, which sounds nice. But lots of reasons we put something like this on the end so that your audience knows you for sure done. Okay, but here's how you know it's a G chord. Think about it. Okay, if I slide it back 2, it's an F chord. If I slide it back 3, it's a D chord. And if I slide it back 2 more, it's a C chord. Okay, music theory again. I'm playing a C chord. Now I'm playing a C sharp. Now I'm playing a D. Now I'm playing an E flat. Now I'm playing an E. Okay, now I'm playing an F, F sharp, G. Okay, so when you see something like that, you'll end a lot of times. You'll end on this, especially solo playing on ukulele sounds really pretty. Okay, and those of you who taken piano, da, 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 plink, right? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Put your chord up here, find it, plink. Okay. We'll also do the same thing. Blong. That's another way to create that ending. Is just take your chord, the main chord of the song, go down an octave or sometimes two. I always went down two because it sounds cool down there. Bong, right? And so that gives you just this nice bow on the end of your present to the audience. That's why that something like that's there. Just this right main chord of the song, a G chord, just really high. We always have to do them high on ukulele because we're busy playing as low as we can on there. Amy asks, curious as to why in measure 8 it's a G then a G7, but not in tough uke. Oh, it should be. Should be. Great question, Amy. That should be a D. It should be a G7. Yeah. So put a one where that three is. Good eye. Very nice. Okay. So yeah, I should have put a G7 in there. This land was made for you and me. Okay, and then that gets you this back to that. Okay. The reason you might not want to do it, and this is probably what I was thinking when I was arranging, was it doesn't matter that much, and then I don't have to move anything here, and then my three's already on in place. A lot more work to put the G7 on, but you probably should. You're absolutely right, Amy. Probably should put a G7 on there to get that. Now, the next thing I want to talk, how are we doing on time? Next thing I want to talk about, you had 8 measures, guys, and none of this at your level is particularly like, oh God, I don't know what he's talking about. Probably everything on this piece of music makes sense. I'm overemphasizing a few details that we don't usually get to talk about. Making that rest matter if you're a singer, playing through it probably if you're a ukulele player. Knowing your repeats, making sure your repeats make sense. 16th notes. Yeah, I know better than to put 16th notes in there. So when you go get a sheet of music and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to play that song," and it's written for a piano, and there's 16th notes all over the whole thing, probably unlikely that you're going to be particularly successful with that unless you're playing it at a much slower pace than you might think you need to play it at. 16th notes are very fast in ukulele and pretty hard to do. I think quarter note equals 80 is our pace on this song, and honestly, if we were playing it at 80, you would find those 16th notes very challenging to hit. The other thing we talked about today was, having a big finish. Okay, your audience cares about two things. They really do. I make a joke about this, but it's really true. They want you to get started well, and they want you to end well. In between those two spots, they're just waiting for the song to be over. They are not really invested in that activity at all. They want to know in the beginning, hey, what song are they playing? Dun 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 dun. Oh, I know that song. I learned that in 12th grade, second grade. I learned that a long time ago. Dun 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 dun. I know that song. Oh, I love that song. And then they're getting their gum out and telling the kids to be quiet and figuring out how they can be the first to the bathroom at intermission. That's what they're doing. And then at the end, dun 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 blom, and then they're like, oh, very good, very good. So get the beginnings right and get the endings right, especially those of you guys that are running groups or running teaching others. In our orchestra, another thing we spend quite a bit of time on is the last couple measures, making sure we all end together. That's a pretty big deal. And so a lot of times, like Frere Jacques is a great example. Frere Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous, soli la mattina, ding dang dong, ding dang dong. And you want to end on the third beat and not have this fourth beat. And so I always in class have to talk with my students about hey, let's make sure you only hit 3 beats on this last measure. And that's immediately after I've told them there's 4 beats in every measure, right? And so make sure that when you're working with your groups, that fourth, the very last measure, make sure everybody knows, okay, we're gonna slow it down a little bit. And maybe real soft, or maybe either of those, right? But talk to your people, your ensemble group, and decide how you're going to finish it up. Debbie and I, who played quite a bit back in the day as duets, often one of us would start and one of us would finish, so that we didn't have any to worry about getting along, through that last little bit. And that was just a duet, and we were both pretty decent players. Getting started right, a lot of times better just let somebody start the thing and you'll see that in all kinds of rock music where somebody starts the song and then everybody comes in, sort of thing. You can do the same thing at the end of a song. Everybody takes it to "This land was made for you and me," and then one person blink, 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 right? And it's that way you have less chance of a catastrophe when you're playing in a group. Finally, very finally, I think, um, those of you tough ukers, okay, all of you, that should be all of you, right? Grab your claws. Let's just do four strings, four fingers. I ate one of these little nut bars. I know better than to do this before I ever talk. Anything with an almond in it, the almond gets stuck right there. All right, grab your all four strings. Let's get you working on this activity. You got a G chord, or you're starting off with the G chord, because you know it's in G. It doesn't say G. You're not playing the G, but you know that's got to be a G there. It's got to be, right? Because if it starts in G and ends in G, it's in the key of G. So it's got to be a G there. So I'm grabbing the G chord. Okay, I'm going to play the 3. I'm going to play the 0 by lifting up my middle finger and putting it back down. Okay, now I've got quarter notes. Okay, so I've got an opportunity to be cool here. Grab the C chord, index finger on your C string, and then hit your high 3, and then hit your chord again. Index, you can't hit your index finger after that because it's just an 8th note chord. 3, 3, oh. Now go grab your G chord. You've got 2 quarter notes, so you can sneak in some extra notes here. G chord, index finger, or you might use your middle finger on this to get the G note. That would be another alternative. High 2, hit whatever, either index or middle, and then the chord. 2, 3, 2. You got your quarter notes here, so put in an extra note between them. If you're holding this D7, there is no D here. Okay, so you're going to have to hit the C note to make it make sense. Play those. High 0, chord, fast here. Use your ring finger to get the 3. Go up to the 0. You got to lift your middle finger. Got some more quarter notes. Put your G chord on. We're going to hit the chord, index, high 2, index, chord. Fast. C chord, index, high 3, index, chord, fast, chord, index, high 2, chord. Now you have a dotted half note. Dotted half notes are God's gift to fingerstyle players. You're like, so sweet. Now the important point is that you are already beyond the dot. So the 2 has already taken that up. This chord is actually just a half note. So you're going to hit 3 extra strings after the chord. And the Gulfstream waters strum, index, middle, index, chord. This land, okay, and that's our 8th note, so you want to just go right away. This land, index, was made for you, and obviously that's pretty technically challenging because you've got to get, you probably got to, you got to either get another finger in there or drop down to get this other 2 that you've had open for a second. And also notice the last note, this land was made for. 4 is a 16th note, so you don't want to linger on that. You don't want to turn it into some sort of finger style thing. You're probably gonna not be successful. So you just want to go. This land plunk was made for you and me. Half note. Rest. Okay, and that rest is where that G7 should show up. Okay, so what I'm basically teaching, maybe it's sinking in, maybe it's not, is play incredibly stupid slow and then work on every time there's a quarter note, plucking with your index finger or your middle finger an extra note. While you're holding the chord, don't change the chord. Just pluck either your index or middle. And then when you get to half notes, plucking three strings, the index, middle, index, or even middle, index, middle, whatever you want to try. Um, what will happen then, the song's going to slow down even more, but you have the chance to just busily decorate it, just lay a lace curtain over the top of the song and add in all this extra texture and all this extra notes that will surprise your audience, and they will be like, golly, you can really play. Now, they don't need to know that you're playing a G chord, a C chord, and a D7 chord. Those are sort of our workhorses as ukulele players. And they also don't need to know that it's only 8 bars long. What they need is for you to present this in a way that's like, wow, that's really nice. And so you can do it. Can you play it at that speed so we can hear what it sounds like? I knew some smart aleck was going to say something. Sure, Amy, I can do that. No problem. All right, we're going to go crazy slow. Just remember, if it's a quarter note, just try adding in a pluck with your index finger. And again, guys, for those of you who are singers, this is absolutely a way to make yourself sound more beautiful. We'll go back and talk about that in just a second. But claw picking with additional notes is going to make you sound amazing. And don't think that musicians that you watch on stage are doing something fancy. They're holding the chord and they're plucking. That's what they're doing. Same with piano players. Liberace, all these extra notes he's putting in, just running the chords, just running scales. That's what he's doing. Okay. Um, Only jazz players are able to go beyond that, where they add in all these weirdo notes in there, and some are better at it than others, right? They're adding in all these weirdo notes, and if they're not too weird, you're like, oh man, that guy's really got it on. If they're really weird, then you're like, I think I'm gonna run to the bathroom. I'll be back, you guys. Order me another mojito. And so let's give this a try. We're gonna play it crazy slow. We're gonna only do it one time, and anytime there's a quarter note, just grab one of these with your index finger and plug it. Don't change your chord. 1, 2, rest. 3, oh, 2, chord, index, 3, chord, 3, 3, oh, chord, index, 2, chord, 2, 3, 2. Whoops, I blew it. Let me go back and do measure 2 because I didn't give you enough beats. For measure 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Chord, index, 2, index, strum, 2, 3, 2, D7, index, 0, index, chord, 0, 0, 3, 0, chord, middle, 2, middle, chord, 3, 3, 0, 2, chord, index, 3, index, chord, 3, 3, 3, 0, chord, index, 2, index. That 2, it looks weird there. That should be chord, index, 2, index, chord, 2, 3. I'm going to hit the high one with my ring finger and then D7. This land index was made for you, and chord, 2, 3, 2, plunk, 3, oh, 2. That's it. Okay. So the idea there is you're just holding the chord and this song is set up perfectly. Woody Guthrie knew what he was doing. He wasn't going to make. He was going to make something that people would actually play, and not too long, not too hard. Everything makes sense in the song except that it starts on the fourth, um, and um, and then you can go through with your finger style technique. That's the claw. You're going to be required to do. You could do it theoretically with your thumb, but that's not what we want. We want you to be using your classical technique of this four finger pluck. Um, and then just adding in an extra note every time between anything that's a quarter note, because you can't add anything in between the eighth notes. You don't have enough time. You have to really slow it down to do that, because then all suddenly everything's a 16th note. But with quarter notes, just add in whatever you're already holding down. Just add in either an index or middle, and boy, pretty soon, once you know what you're doing, then you start speeding it up. We did this with the same exact exercise with "Can't Help Falling in Love," because it's nice and slow. We added in just one extra every eighth note. Every eighth note has a note, and that's what you're looking for with that. Um, um, you bet, Benet. Last thing I wanted to say, we got to get going. Oh, we got 2 minutes. We're fine. Singers, you know the drill. Thumb, index, middle, ring. If it's in four, thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, index. Sometimes, if you're low G, you can sometimes get away with thumb, index, middle, ring, thumb, index, middle, ring. Baritone, this is what we do. Thumb, index, middle, ring, thumb, middle, ring. But because we have this high note here, it ends up being weird on a high G ukulele. So just use your 3 finger pattern in a 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. This. Let's get the right chord on. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was, as I was walking this golden highway. Okay, you see what I'm doing? It's so silly how simple this is. But when singers come to me and they're like, I'm having a hard time singing and strumming at the same time, I say, well, how about we just stop strumming? And they're like, I don't think you're the right teacher for me. So what I'm telling you is, if you are a singer, be really smart. We work on this right hand all of the time on purpose, because I can make you sound like a legitimate, like, oh my God, that person really knows how to play ukulele, when all you've done is taken these very basic chords, put an arpeggio pattern on them, sing over the top of them, and you sound like, oh, that's exactly what I wanted to do when I bought this ukulele. And so, voila, there you go. That was a lot for 8 measures. Hopefully, you had some light bulb came on, or hopefully, I said something that made sense today. I think the one thing I said was you can bring your banjos tomorrow, and then I heard sort of this general uh, belief in America just went way up after that, right? Oh, we can bring banjoleles. Okay, things are going to be fine. That's the only good news for the day. Everything else is going to be downhill from banjoleles are okay on Friday. That's the best news anybody can get. Tomorrow, we have lots to get done, right? I have nothing on my schedule tomorrow except you guys. So tomorrow we will play Little Boxes. Takes us nothing, not anytime. We will be imagining the suburbs gone wild. We will play Puff the Magic Dragon, and we will talk about the irony of it being one of the saddest songs of all times, and yet we all still think it's a fun song. We'll talk about the fact it's not really supposed to be about marijuana, but we think maybe it is. We will play Blowing in the Wind because Bob Dylan is a. I'm against Bob Dylan. We will play This Land Is Your Land because I'm very for Woody Guthrie. I don't know why. And we will wrap up. We'll also play Make a Better Bar Worksheet. We'll warm up with that. Grab your arpeggiator and E flat. I do think it's one of those songs you want to look at before you just show up to class. And it's not a great sight reader. You really want to probably take a minute to go through it. Play your arpeggiator tonight. And then, of course, our final run through on Harry Potter. I've got to work on that myself because I don't want to make a fool of myself tomorrow. So Harry Potter is our final run through on that. Guys, not promising anything, but I think next week may be John Denver week. And the 3 songs I have are Annie's song, where did John Denver? Any song, that one's ready to go. Leaving on a jet plane, that's and Take Me Home, Country Roads. Those are the three I have. Send me an email what the fourth one's going to be. Okay. I think that's next week's John Denver week. All right. I have to be honest. I like John Denver as a person. I'm iffy on his music. I don't really care what the fourth song is. Remember, and some of those, Thank God I'm a Country Boy are really meant to be singers and are super fast. And when you send me an email and you're going to say, please, 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 please make this the fourth song, make sure it's something. I'm thinking pretty heavily about Sunshine on My Shoulders. It's a little bit sappy, but it's also going to sound really nice because the melody is really solid. Rocky Mountain High is the other one that kind of I thought about a little bit. Lobbing me on the email. I'll see which one gets the to give me a compelling reason to pick your song as opposed to something else. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off? Linda, can you play it at that speed? Yeah, Amy, you are on my list, bud. Manette, very nice. Thanks. Good to see you, Manette. Evelyn, good to see you. Jack and Barbara out there in Illinois, thank you. Off to baritone, that's right, Lynn. Since I don't have music background, I always appreciate hearing about music theory. Thank you. Ton of music theory today, a little bit too much, right? Hopefully you got something out of it. Vicky, we'll see you soon. Amy. Oh yeah, I have my board meeting tonight. It's, you know what condominium board meetings are? They should just call it old people's opportunity to yell at people over stuff they can't do anything about. That's what it should be called. That's what our board meetings are. Let's see. Let's see. Carol, have a great day. Amy, have a good day. Barbara, we're doing all three. We're doing all three verses of what was it yesterday? The Bob Dylan piece. Is it three verses? Is it three? Yeah, blowing in the wind. We'll do them all for Barbara. Annie, good to see you. Elizabeth, love this piece. Yeah, it's a fun piece of music, really. Carol, yay, John Denver. Rocky Mountain High, Sunshine is okay. Poems and Prayers. I don't know if I know that one. Poems, Prayers, and Promises. I'll have to go look that one up. Sunshine, a few votes for Sunshine. Folk music, John Denver, and then Christmas. I know, Manette. I know. We're going to do Metallica, too. We'll do a little metal. We'll do a hard metal one. We've got Iron Maiden. I know there's one of our members wrote a great Iron Maiden piece. I'll see if I can steal it from him. Metallica. I did Master of Puppets when I first started playing ukulele. It sounds stupid. What other metal have I done? I don't know. Well, I did Pink Floyd. Wish You Were Here. So that's songs from Manette. That's the stuff she loves. All right, I'll look up Poems, Prayers, and Promises. I don't think I know that song. Clay, good to see you. Jazz stand. Oh yeah, Manette's really into jazz. Yeah, we're gonna do more jazz. Don't you worry, Manette. I got you covered. Sandy, see you soon. See you tomorrow for harmonica. Fran, be good out there. Good to see you. All right, guys, yanking the plug. Off we go. Baritone is next.